Hello, Coach Bob here, and I'm going to give you a 5-minute warm-up that you can do prior to any workout that's going to include some squatting or pulling movements like a deadlift or a clean. So I've got about 4 or 5 movements that we're going to do here, and in 5 minutes we'll be all warmed up and ready to go. I'm going to go over each movement, and then you can follow along with these in your warm-up. Okay, so what we're looking for first is a squat hold. For a squat hold, you're basically just going to come down into a squat position, sitting back, nice tall chest. You can also use this time to open up those hips a little bit. I like to put my elbows in my knees, open up my hips. From the side, what that might look like. Feet are nice and flat on the ground. Try to arch that back. Maybe arms up to the sky, something like that. Try to accumulate about a minute, and that'll be plenty for opening up those hips. Next up, we're going to do a Samson stretch, maybe 5 on each side. This is just going to activate the quads a little bit and give us a little bit of a stretch. So you're basically going to step out, reach up high, and press off with that front foot. Repeating for about 5 repetitions on each side. And that's just going to load up those hips and warm them up a little bit. Next movement we have is basically a Spiderman lunge. Main purpose of this one is to give us some hip extension in one leg and open up that other hip with a little bit of a squat position, a little bit of a knee out here, hands flat on the floor. This is a great one. I like to really spend a little bit of time in the bottom, giving some rotation at that hip, and then also you can get some stretch on that ankle as well. Same thing on the other side. Hands can be flat on the ground, driving that knee out to the side. Maybe make 5 circles one way and 5 circles the other. Rinse and repeat a couple of times so that we can get those hips opened and primed for some squatting. At any time you want to, you can kind of test, see how those hips are feeling as we do each and every one of those movements. Next up is going to be a Russian baby maker. And so for this one, it looks a lot like a squat hold, but it's got 2 differences. You're going to go wider than you normally do in your squat. So my normal squat is here. So I'm just going to go a couple inches wider. And I'm going to set myself up again with my hands on my feet, driving those knees out, getting a good stretch along the inner thigh. From here, I'm going to drive the hips up. Good stretch along the back. And then drive the hips in between the ankles again. Repeating. For 5 or 6, 8 or 9, 10 reps. Definitely get those hips opened up. I like to do these before a movement that has thrusters or wall balls or a lot of repetitive squatting in. It really opens up those hips, stretches out those hamstrings. Last thing we got to take care of are the glutes. We want to activate these. We worked on the quads a little bit with the Samson stretch. Now for the glutes, what we want to do is we'll do a glute bridge, and we can do a glute bridge with a walkout. I'll show you both of those. So a glute bridge, you're going to walk those heels toward, you're going to place the heels close toward the glutes, squeeze here, raise up to the top. We can repeat for about 10 repetitions. You can also do one-sided, repeating 5 or 6 times on each side. And you can also do that walkout variation. The walkout variation, bring the hips up high, walk the heels out, walk the heels back in. Repeat for 5 or 6 rounds, 5 or 6 repetitions. And we'll get those glutes nice and warmed up and ready to go. Test out that squat. Everything's feeling nice and loose. Before you actually hit the workout, it's a good idea to start to increase the intensity, maybe doing a couple of practice rounds, gradually increasing the load and or intensity so that when you're ready to hit that workout, you're prepped, primed, and ready to go. Thanks for tuning in.